Warlord, Saga of the Storm, Into the Accordlands, Story number 19, Discipline and Dynamite, by Greg Melnyk. Hey boss, I think that's a vulture overhead. Azkal shields his eyes with his hand and turns his attention from the cooking fire in front of him to the afternoon sky. Above, a dark bird with a large wingspan slowly banks and circles, contrasting with the hazy blue background of late summer. Good spotting, Hatek. I was wondering when we'd get new orders. Hopefully it will present more of a challenge for us. We need a proper battle, not just raiding these pitiful peasant villages like we have for the past fortnight. There is no honor in slaughtering the weak. Hatek grins in response, puts a small horn to his lips, and blows. The wooden instrument sounds like the scream of a dying rabbit. The vulture cocks its head and lazily glides in circles towards the noise until landing in the makeshift Nothrog camp. It walks towards the young scout and shakes its wings, dislodging a sealed scroll that had been attached to its back. I knew it was one of ours. Then it will eat well as a reward for its service. Azkal grabs a butchered marmot that had not yet been added to the stew pot and tosses it at the bird's feet. While the buzzard is busy digging out an eye, the Nothrog takes the scroll and examines the seal before separating the wax from the parchment with an unexpected delicateness that contrasts with his calloused hands. Finally, word from Nothrog. Bear fights with us and is ready to bless your next campaign. On the western banks of the Wanizi River, 4 days' march south of its mouth at Lake Amanad, is a mining town, Iron River. Isolated from the rest of Messier by the mountains, it presents a unique opportunity for us. Claim it for the legions of war. The town has a small military garrison, mostly to protect against bandits or act as tax collectors for trade along the river. The rest of the population are immaterial. Even those that have served as peasant levies are no match for a Nothrog warband. However, the town does have an earthenworks wall. As much as it loathes me, the others on the council have contracted with the fire rain to eliminate this obstacle. You will meet a goblin, Sklot, north of the town. Speak to him when you are ready to attack. Smiling as he crumples the scroll and tosses it into the fire, Azkal shouts to get the attention of his band. We have new orders. Rest well tonight. Tomorrow we march to battle. The march east had been largely uneventful, walking with an occasional break to resupply before making camp in a stand of trees an hour charge from Iron River. Hatek, take your scouts, survey the train, and find our goblin friend. The rest of you lot, eat your fill and then sharpen your weapons. Tomorrow we seize Iron River for Bear Legion. How inspiring, very traditional. Seemingly out of nowhere, a Nothrog of strong goblin heritage begins clapping, his smallness exaggerated next to the hulking orcs and ogres of the warband. More than a few draw their weapons before noticing that the tiny newcomer is accessorized with explosives and not jewelry. I take it you are Sklot of the Fire Rain Legion? Sklot sighs. You all with your legion this and totem that, you're stuck in the past. We're not of any legion. We're more of a communal anarcho-meritocracy, in my humble opinion. But that's besides the point. Sklot the Cruel is my name. Explosions are my game. He sticks out his hand to Azkal. Azkal engulfs Sklot's forearm with his hand and grasps it tightly, leaving finger impressions on the smaller Nothrog's skin. Well met. I am Azkal, war boss of Bear Legion. Anyway, there's no need to wait until tomorrow. I've got everything ready to take the walls down. Just one teeny tiny, insignificant change in plans. The goblin winks at the much larger Nothrog. Azkal only stares back. Straight to business. I can appreciate that. I'm taking the walls down. But the headswoman of this town, Alenia, she's got a price on her head, and I'll be collecting it. The goblin smiles. Where are your siege engines? Where are your ballista crews? Your battering rams? My orders? There you go again with your outdated thinking. I was contracted to take the walls down. I'm a goblin of my word. Just say when, and those walls will not be a problem anymore. Nothing will be a problem anymore. Sklot grins, exposing all his pointed teeth. I don't trust you, goblin. I do not know you. But I do trust my superiors and their orders. I am a warlord of honor. And you, he pauses to give the smaller Nothrog an appraising stare, we'll see what you are made of. You can claim the bounty. We will be claiming the town. Azkal turns his attention away from the puny creature. Prepare yourselves, men. I will stand proud and demand their surrender, and if they do not accept, we will look death in the eye, spit in its face, rise up like a tidal wave, and make the streets run red with human blood." He looks at the Fire Rain Goblin. "If they do not accept surrender, I need those walls down. Can you do that?" With a giggle, Sklot nods his head. "Streets running red with blood. Now that, I think, we can both agree on." "Now that we have found our Fire Rain contact, Hatek, go and complete your survey. I want updated maps by nightfall. Sklot, will you join me in my command tent to discuss specific plans for the morning? The denizens of Iron River will be no match for our combined forces." Shortly before dawn, the Nothrog warband began their march towards the village. Azkal sprints ahead, stopping just outside archery range. In a booming voice, he calls out, "Iron River, Bear claims your town for the legions of war. Surrender now, and we will show mercy." The Nothrog slow their charge behind their leader and shift formation. On the wall, archers begin to take positions and notch their arrows. Quietly, Sklot worms his way from the back of the pack next to Azkal. "You gave them their chance. It looks like they chose the hard way." An evil grin emerges on Sklot's vicious face. Boom! The town of Iron River ceases to be, replaced with a giant fireball lifting into the sky and a wave of smoke and dust speeding away from the epicenter of the explosion. Azkal stands in awe, never once seeing something so large, so destructive. Turning on the goblin, Azkal grabs the smaller figure, but barely restrains himself from shaking him like a rag doll. "What did you do? What?" Sklot slips from his grasp and shakes a finger at the larger orc. Now, that wouldn't be wise." He gestures to the various explosives worn on his body. He smiles and laughs again. "Consider this contract fulfilled. I'm off to find whatever is left of Alenia to satisfy that contract. The town is all yours. Well, what is left of it anyways. And with that..." He plucks a small vial from his belt and hurls it at the ground, and disappears in an acrid cloud of smoke. Azkal coughs and rubs the smoke from his eyes before surveying what is left of the town. "This changes nothing," he shouts to his men. "Remember the plan, and remember your training. For Bear!" He raises his war axe and completes the charge into the village, his warband fanning out behind. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and come back for our next story, story number 20, Convictions by Russell Franz.